good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where honestly, it's in the name. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. You see who I'm with, my guy, Mr. Nicholas. I want the smoke, Rosario. What up, Nick?
Hey, how we doing, Sean? It's a great day. It really is. And I'm happy to be here with you, of course. And our topic today is a good one because I think it's something we all A, have dealt with, B, do deal with, and C, sometimes find it difficult to deal with. So we're going to get into all that. So why don't you go ahead and hit them with it, Sean? What are we doing today?
Oh, yeah, something like you said, we all deal with. Some of us are dealing with now, and some of us never seem to deal with it in a weird way. Anger, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about it because, look, unless you've been living under a rock, there is some way, shape, or form for you to get angry, whether it be sports, whether it be politics, whether it be the fact that it has to be ungodly heat. This ungodly heat outside is killing us, man. Whatever it is, some tugs on your chain, whatever, what have it. And I mean, talk to me about that. I mean, we're gonna get into some questions about it, Nick. But when we think about anger, there's so many different ways that you can approach it. There's obviously justified anger. Somebody did something to you, they wronged you, they crossed you. But then it's also anger to something that's out of your control. You know, this team lost or this bill went through or this something else. So talk to us about anger in general as opposed to when we're going to start to narrow down what kind of makes us tick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anger is an emotion, right? It's something everybody has felt. Like we were saying, everybody's dealt with anger in whatever way. Because, again, there's so many things that could make you angry. And people say, well, what does angry mean? Well, I mean, I think anger means a few things to different people, right? Like, because some people, especially in the way they respond when they are mad or upset at something and they're angry, some people manifest that in so many different ways. Some people get physical. Some people retreat to a corner and stew by themselves. Some people like to make their anger known and talk to everybody about it or shout it from the hilltops, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, anger takes all forms. And again, it's something that we've all had to deal with in life, whether somebody was angry at us, we were angry at somebody, angry at a situation, angry about a job. It could be anything. This is such a broad topic. So I'm glad that you did kind of, we have specific questions we're going to get into because I think it is such a broad topic and there's a lot of ways we could go with this. So I appreciated you kind of, the three questions I saw that you had, I think are perfect because it definitely will open up the discussion and we'll be able to talk about, again, and people understand, we know that there are differing levels to all this. Okay. Yes. This is show. Remember, this show comes from Sean and I. So this is our perspective. These are our truths and we're telling them. That's why it's Truth Be Told. So this is from our perspective. If you'd like to chime in, obviously, if you're watching, comment, let us know how you feel. Please, we will respond to that as well. We welcome everyone here. So you guys are free to speak your mind as well. But yeah, so let's just get into it, Sean. Go ahead and let's start with the first question. Let's get this going, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. And before we can know what you're getting why you're getting angry, let's figure that part out. Why do you get angry? What and taking a line from the Family Guy, what grinds your gears? And I'll start off right away, and I'll start off with something small, some superficial. For me, I have never had I've always understood my monetary where I'm at. You know what I mean? I've never been super rich, but I've always been blessed, never wanted for anything, never been poor, anything like that. So with that, I understand, what clothes I get, what, vehicle I drive, all that stuff. It's in my means. I get it. Okay. I got no issues with you if the good Lord has blessed you with a very nice car, a Tesla, a Corvette, whatever, a Porsche, whatever you have, do your thing. But dear God, when we are driving, if you have your super high-powered $100,000 car going 25 miles an hour to 35, we're gonna have a problem. I cannot stand that. For me, okay, because for me, I understand. A lot of times you'll have a situation where you'll have, the son or the daughter or whoever, they buy the car for the parent, or even the parent, the older person, they have money, they can get the car, they want to live in that luxury, whatever the scenario. Yeah. But when you're driving, at least do the speed limit, at least kind of, help us all out here. I mean, I don't have a problem with you having a nice car, but daggone it, man, if you can't just stop showing it off. Some people show it off, I can see, but other people, have a guy riding up on my tail when I'm driving, and he has a super fast car, that's fine. Okay, let me get out of the way. That you have a car like that, you need to go somewhere important, or you just
right.
Vice versa. Exactly. If I got a broke down Pinto behind me trying to bumper cars with me, I'm like, bruh, your car's gonna break down right away. I don't want to hear any of that. Something small, but it can really kind of trigger me in a way where I'm like, daggone it, man, get out of my way. You know what I mean?
Right? No. Oh, totally. Now again, I don't have that one because I'm not a driver. Right? I don't drive, so I don't really have that one. But a small one, like I said, we're starting out small, and I know this is gonna, because I have some friends who have been known to do this. But it does grind my gears a little bit, so I want to be honest about it. Mm-hmm. I kind of don't like when people aren't on time for stuff. Ooh, because honestly, I like to be punctual. I don't know what it is. I always have had that. Call it anal, call it whatever you want. But I'm usually early for everything that I do, whether I'm meeting with someone or if I'm going to work or whatever it is. I'm either early or on time. I very, very, very rarely do I not show up on time or that I'm late for something.
Right.
Now, again, out of my control if someone is picking me up, or you know what I'm saying, if I'm one of those things, then I have to wait till they get there or whatever it is. But I don't know. It's just, I mean, I don't get like super like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But it does bother me. And I noticed that it has bothered me because I'm like sitting there going, okay, we made this time.
Right.
Like, okay. All right. No. Okay. And you're not here. I'm waiting. It's fine. But, So that, again, and I don't want to make it a big thing, but like you said, we're starting with small.
Oh, we can make it a big thing.
Well, no, we could.
We can make it a big thing. Because I can't stand when somebody tells you that you need to be on time and they're rushing you and tell you got to get back here and you got to, and then I'm on time and then all of a sudden now we still late because you late.
I've had that happen too. So yes, I know that one too. No, I know that one too. But yeah, and that's why I said, again, it seems like something small, and I get it. But yeah, it's just. And again, I'd say like this because, like I said, if my friends watch, they're gonna be like, "Really, Nick?" But hey, we're being honest here. This is what this show is about. Mm-hmm. Like, I just feel like, man, like, I respect your time. Please respect mine. Right. That's all. Again, I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't mean to badmouth you. I'm not naming names or talking particulars. But like, yeah, it's just, to me, it's a respect thing. Yeah. I have no problem respecting your time. I know you're busy. People got stuff to do. So when we make a plan, I figure you took that time out to hang with me or do something with me. I'm grateful for that. Just be on time. That's all. Yeah. Just be on time. That's all.
I understand that.
So, but yeah, so that's a small, that's to get us going. It gets us started. It gets us in the conversation.
Let's turn this up a little bit, man. Let's turn this up a little bit. And I'll piggyback off what she said because, well, my deal is as you know, and again, we're not naming names, and I don't know if anybody's watching right now. So it don't matter. But as you know, I have been in situations where, things might not be as much in my control. And I'm normally good with it. I'll go with the flow. I'll do what's necessary. But I always have an issue because you know me that I'm even keel. I'm like, hey, it's a party. We're all in it. Let's all hang out, enjoy ourselves, whatnot, what have you. But I have an issue at times when external forces that other people want to bring into our little circle now have then rocked the
Yes.
boat. And then which is partially me because I do try to be more reserved for this reason or that, I have an
Yeah.
issue because now all of a sudden I already see what the problem is. I have identified this is the problem that came into the
Yeah.
circle. But I realize that in the circle, there's a connection between another party in that problem. So I
Sure.
can't
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
vocalize, you know what I mean, my opinion or my frustration.
Right. Oh yeah.
And
Oh.
then,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Sure.
so I'm being made to kind of deal with it. Then all of a sudden, the
Yeah.
entire situation turns from "Are we having fun?" to "Why are you not having fun?" And it's like, well, I
Right.
could tell you the answer to that question, but then all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
going to turn around on me. I have an issue when
Yeah.
if we're in a situation and you clearly have brought somebody into that situation, now I have an issue if I'm clearly upset, like I'm clearly in a position where I'm frustrated or I'm being made to do something that I don't necessarily want to do,
Right.
and I'm being made out like I'm the bad guy, even though I'm the one who we were here, we were doing this together. Nobody invited this. Now you invited it, and I'm fine with that. But now they get to dictate. I have a problem with
Right.
that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If I'm going
Yes.
into that situation where I already know this is what's going to happen and it's not going to be on my own, that's fine.
Right.
But I do have a problem, and you know, and I'm starting to get a little fired up on this. You know, certain
I see.
situations where people have started
Yeah.
to say, "Hey, you know, oh well, what do you want to do? What would you like to do?"
Yeah.
And that's not really what they mean. Because when
Right.
you have clearly stated what it is you want to do, other parties are saying, "Oh well, you know this and oh that." Did you ask them? You asked me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
external forces that come in, and that's why
Right.
I'm very selective with the people that I hang out with. And people are like, "Oh, you
Sure.
don't hang with this, you don't do that." No, because I know that if I sit here in this situation, I know there's a likelihood that you're going to bring in this, and
Right.
it's clear that you're the concern, and not in every situation, but there's clearly
Yeah.
there's no concern for my feelings. So
Sure.
if that's the case, well, we're going to have this issue, and I hate it because it makes me look bad. But at the same
Yeah.
time, shouldn't I have the say? Shouldn't I have the freedom to be like, I don't want to hang out with this person, especially if I've told you that. But that was a
Right.
little pointed. I'm gonna.
No, I got. No, I got it. It's okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, so
I do. Yes, I do. No, but that's an. I mean, that's an interesting one. I don't think I've really encountered that so much, like in that sense. Like, so I get that's something for you. Um, Something maybe I could possibly equate that to. Like, I don't know. That's a good one in terms of like, because again, that leads to the question like, people would be like, "Well, Sean, are you okay? Is that good? Like, is there, what upset you?" And so I like that one. That one I like a lot. For me, to jump into something a little bit more, I think as far as anger goes, because I think you know this too. I try really hard to not be angry.
yeah,
Like I'm generally, and maybe to a fault at times, I'm a pretty agreeable guy.
yeah,
Unless it's something really out there, like out there where I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
right.
I'm pretty agreeable with stuff. So the anger thing is not so much, but how about an annoyance? Let's go with something that could lead to anger that is
Okay,
somewhat
I
of an
like that. Yeah.
annoyance. Right, somewhat of annoyance, but it could lead
Wait,
to,
should you tell people your age? Because people might get that grandpa get off my lawn
well,
type.
yes, okay. Everybody knows Nick's 51, okay? I hit the 50s last year, 51 in January 2024, yes. So sometimes I admit some things I say get a little taken as, all right, Grandpa, take it easy over there, pal.
Rodgers involuntary minicamp.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there you go. But no, but because that's one thing I've had to work on is the anger that I have, and so where I'm going to go with this is actually, it goes a little deeper. Like we're jumping to the next kind of level.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anger as a young man,
Hmm.
and I think this manifested itself as I got older because when you don't let things go, sometimes
Mhm.
it starts to affect the other areas of your life.
Yes.
And so I would
Absolutely.
easily, I was angry as a teenager. Again, my parents split when I was 9, divorced when I was 10. My dad remarried at 15. All those things upset me greatly. Okay. Like I was very angry about all of that. And, I manifested that in many different ways. We won't get into that now. But I carried that into my 20s because I never dealt with it. And so as a young man being angry, every little thing, like I said, annoyances bothered me. Like there was times I would be angry because somebody talked to me on the bus, like somebody I didn't know, struck up a conversation. I'd be like, "Why are you talking to me? Like I'm not in the
Hmm.
mood for you, or I'm not in the mood for this, or why are you even, I don't know you, dude. Like kick rocks or whatever it was." And it speaks to an overall attitude. It speaks to an overall feeling. And like I said, kind of with your thing, like, man, I
Hmm.
was feeling great, and then this happened.
Yeah.
And you sit there and go, wait a minute, man. Like that, and you look like you said, you look like the bad guy. You look like you're the one who doesn't know how to deal with things, or you don't know how to, get along with people, as it were. But that's not entirely the case. That's the one thing I think that some people, when they deal with anger, I think nobody ever really looks at it from the opposite side to get to the reason
Right.
of why you're angry. Like,
Right.
why are you acting this way? Is there a reason, or are you just a
Yes.
bad guy? And the thing is,
Right.
no, it's not that you're a bad guy or a bad person, but something happened that upset you. And then when people can see that visibly on your face, or take it as, or you manifest that in some way, then it's like, well, what's wrong with him? Is he
Right.
okay? Like, and that,
Right.
like you said, that goes to your point of what you were just talking about. Yeah, there's not too many things these days, honestly, that grind my gears. I mentioned the one about time and being on time. That's a small one. Again, I can get over that. And, I tease my the friends that I know are late. I do tease them about that every now and again. So it's a playful thing. But yeah, as far as grinding gears, man, I try really hard. And again, maybe it is because I'm a little, I don't say it like that, but I've tried to set my life up in a way where I don't have to deal with that. I
Gotcha.
try not
Yeah.
to. And again, I get angry, sure. And I get angry at little stuff too. Like one day I tripped over something. I got really mad about it. Because I'm
Hmm.
sitting to myself going, why the hell did I trip over? Like little things that happen in your life become, like I said, annoyances that become bigger things if you
Yeah.
don't just go, okay, never mind. I'm just gonna let that one go and I'm gonna be all right. Because in the grand scheme, it's not that big a deal. But I think that's another key point that maybe we should get into is, like I said, dealing with that sort of thing. Like something small happens, if you don't deal with it, what happens? It becomes it blows up.
Hmm.
And again, to your example, something like that, I said, bringing in somebody else, and then the whole thing becomes a whole big thing when it
Hmm.
didn't have to be that way.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's an important part of anger to understand, honestly, is that, again, it's an emotion. Everybody gets angry.
Yeah.
And it's how the other person or the people you're with relate to that could help the situation or hurt the situation. So I always feel like
Hmm.
I do my best to try to diffuse if something like that happens, only
Yeah.
because I don't want the discord. I don't want, I want everybody, like I said, if we're in a group, I want everybody to have a good time. I want to enjoy what's happening. I don't want anything to come in that's going to upset the balance and any of that. And now again, I'm sorry because I know I'm starting to ramble on and get off the
Oh,
topic a
you're
little bit,
good.
but I,
Man, no,
but I
that's
just think,
true.
yeah, but I just think, yeah, man, anger's such a tough thing sometimes. It
Right.
really is because again, there's many layers to it, as we mentioned. There's many sides to it, and I just don't think people give enough thought to just how being angry can affect you, other people, your
Hmm.
situation,
Hmm.
the way you look at anything. Like I said, people get angry at work, right? I mean, I've been
Hmm.
angry at work, and I look at how I've manifested that, or like, I don't know, it must be my new word this week, manifest. I must have read it somewhere because I've said it about 60 times already in this podcast. So, again, but I digress. I'm telling you, my mind is all over the place, Sean. I'm telling you. But yeah. So I mean, being angry at work, I've noticed that what I'll do is I'll complain to my boss.
Hmm.
I'll be like, hey Jermaine, blah 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 blah, and I'll air like all my grievances to him, whatever I'm
Yep.
upset about. But he'll be like the only person I tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I won't really say it to anybody else. But with him, we'll have the conversation, and I'll just lay it out for him. Like, man, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. So that helps
'Cause-
me to
Yeah.
get rid of that stuff. You know what I mean? To get that out of the
If he's
way.
there, if he's available, because if he's not available, then you hold
Well,
that stuff in.
or then I just yell at somebody at work and they go, "Why is Nick yelling at people?"
Yeah.
Then you have that. So that has
Yeah. Well,
happened.
yeah.
So that's why I say
Eh,
that has happened. And I think people notice. You're like, "What's wrong with Nick?"
right.
Nothing, man. Just do your
But
job.
that's
Leave me alone.
but
Right?
that's a good point though. But that is a
Yeah.
good point, and you always give me a hard time because obviously I too cannot let certain things
Oh
go.
man. Oh, wow.
You know,
Which is an
no, no,
annoyance.
no. You don't know. You know what? Right. Here's a yeah. Somehow, how did I know that somehow you were going to slip that in? Because no matter what show we're doing, Mr. Spencer, you find a way to throw in Tom
I
Brady
want
throwing the damn
I want to see if
trophy.
you're angry, and see that's the
Uh,
thing. You're annoyed by my response, but I'm angered by his lack of
of
just
respect.
decor
Yeah.
and respect, decorum. I mean, but I think you have a great point, and it is that it's annoyance. It is, and it's more of an annoyance where it's kind of like when you have where you are trying to be the peacemaker, where you are trying to be the
Yeah.
one who, even in situations where you stick out like a sore thumb, you're still trying
Yeah.
to be the bigger person. You're trying to be very open and chatty and talk to people, things of that
Right.
nature. And then it just seems like stuff keeps compounding from other sides, and that's one of the things that really annoys me. And going also with annoyance and kind of along those lines, it really frustrates me when people just have a lackadaisical mindset on certain things. And when I say
Yeah.
certain things, obviously it's things maybe that I might be more interested
Well,
in, which is,
sure.
well, I mean,
What's
not.
that?
I mean, I don't like, well, football, yeah, but I mean, I can also say politics. I can also say world events. I can also say
Yeah.
X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. And for me, it's because if I put in the time to look into those things,
Yeah.
then for me, that kind of annoys me. And likewise, when it goes back to what we were talking about with the external forces, sometimes the annoyance that can turn to anger is
Yeah.
the fact that it's kind of like, all right, we've had this situation happen. We've had it happen multiple times where we figured out this is the reason. Now we are continuing to allow this to happen. Now all of a sudden, this no longer becomes just, oh God, why do we have to do this? Now it becomes
Right.
something like, all right, are you purposely doing this? And
Right.
this is a way where you have little things that are like little annoyances, little small things that can
Yeah.
grow and fester because
Yeah.
A, either it's not being discussed, or
Yeah.
B, it's you just feel like the person doesn't care. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm
Right.
coming to
Yeah.
you every day and I'm like, hey, buddy, blah blah blah, and after 3 or 4 days, you're like, hey man, can you just my name's Nick, man. Don't call me buddy. He's like, all right,
Right. No.
bud,
Yeah.
my bad. And then the next day it's the
Right.
same thing. And that's
Yeah.
small, but when it's keep
Well, that's the
every
thing.
single
That
day.
things that fester. If you don't cut that guy off and say, "Hey, listen, do me a favor, buddy. Don't call me buddy," or whatever.
Right,
Hey, hey,
right.
pal, don't just call me Nick. Like because again, if we do let it go, what happens? Then you do get angry, and again, that's
Right.
dealing with. And you know what? I'm kind of glad you brought it up. Like I said, you and I talked about this before we went on, and I think right now, anger. There's a lot of anger around the country.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a for those again. Sean and I are going to dip our toe lightly into this because we know this is probably going to set some people off. But obviously, everybody knows there's an election in November. We are
Mm-hmm.
voting for a new
Mm-hmm.
president come November. And again, this is not whatever your politics is. That's not what this is. We're not talking about that right now. This is not in terms of which party you're for, who you're voting for. I don't want to know any of that right now. That's not the subject of this. But the anger that comes from both sides
Mm-hmm.
on what's happening in the country really speaks to a bigger issue about, to me, respect.
Mm.
Because again, I don't have to agree with everything you do.
Right.
Like, I don't have to agree, and I don't have to agree with your politics.
Right.
But if you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you the same way.
Absolutely.
And the amount of anger you see on people, again, I have Facebook and I have friends on both sides of the aisle. And I
Mm-hmm.
read posts and I look at stuff, and you know how people are feeling, the temperature.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of angry people out there on both sides. People who don't like Biden, people who don't like Trump, everything that's happening, yada yada yada. And I think the unfortunate part is sometimes we can't see past our own beliefs, things like if you
Right.
don't agree with me, I need to be upset with you. And I really think that's what divides people that way. And that's why people get into arguments about politics and fights about this. And I get it.
Right.
We're
Right.
not going to agree on everything. We're all raised differently. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different ways of thinking. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I have really good friends who are on both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I avoid with them as much as I can is political discussion. Because again, I'll respect you if you respect me. Now, again, I'm not telling you which side of the aisle I'm on, and I'm not going to get into that. If you want to ask me privately and we're that close, I'll discuss it with you. But I'm not going to do it here. But I'm just letting you know that to me, that's anger on a different level. And it's really a shame to see because I've seen people literally not talk to each other or
Oh, yeah.
decide that I don't want to deal with you anymore because you
Because of
don't
that.
agree with what I agree with.
Right.
And I'm just going to say this, whether you think this is a correct statement or not, the fact that we let politicians who claim they have our best interests at heart, but maybe don't always,
Mm-hmm.
separate us as people who have to live together, work together, and be together, I think that's terrible. Because I do
Yeah.
think it's very divisive. It does divide us. And that's a shame because you know what? We're here on the ground floor together. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody I know is super well off where that this doesn't affect them in some way. Well,
Right.
whatever side you're on. We all go to work, we all pay our rent, we all pay our bills, we all do whatever. I just the anger part of this really bothers me because
I
again,
feel you.
people the lack of respect that people have for each other all of a sudden like you know what I mean, the lack of whatever it is, compassion, understanding. Again, you could, oh Nick, you're a, you
No,
drink
but you're.
you drink, but it is. I mean, it's
It's the
terrible
truth. It's the
that
truth.
people don't know how to talk to each other and
No.
can't understand that differences are honestly what make us great as people.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody was the same, I think life would be really boring. If
Right.
we all thought the same, if we all did the same thing, if we all wore the same clothes, we all did this, we all did that, life would just suck. We just exist and nothing would happen. But again, I just feel like right now the anger in this country for this whole thing, this whole election, yeah, it's very sad. And again, that kind of grinds my gears because I feel like people don't respect each other, and
No.
people are willing to just name call and be like, oh, well, you're this, you're that, blah blah. How can you defend Trump? How can you defend Biden? How can you do this? How can you do that? I've heard the argument. Trust me. Like I said, if you look at my Facebook page, it's a cornucopia of stuff, man. I get all sides. I get all angles. People are, like I said,
I
I know
believe it.
people on both sides of the aisle. It's
And
terrible.
that's the problem, and a lot of it is because everybody feels like they have the answer. Everybody feels like they know. And one of the things that really angers me, and I'm staying on this line, but also in the other thing that we talk about all the time, which is football, is when you have people that are not willing to admit a fault of the person that they're supporting,
Yeah.
be it football, be it, I've known people that have looked at coaches who have openly said that they have done stuff. They've openly said that, yes, I had this infraction or whatever. This is should be suspended, but whatever, what have you. And these
Yeah.
people are like, no, this is fabricated, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
that is the big thing for me, because going to your point on politics, one of the things that I've always been taught by my father, who was big into politics, but also big into media. He
Yeah.
said to pay attention, start looking at both sides. If anybody ever tells you that this side is 100% great and there's nothing wrong with them, that's when you keep your eye on them the most. You know what I mean? And it's not saying that this side isn't awful, but you have to realize that there is nobody that is perfect. There's nobody that's pure and blameless. So
Right.
what really frustrates me is on both sides, that both sides attempt to be this blameless, pure, like, party that we are this and we're that and we're great.
Right.
And then you have people in our society, we deal with it every day, Nick, that will
Yeah.
defend one side or the other, saying they are terribly bad and they are terribly bad. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it is not going to be a popular comment, but Trump has done some really good things for this country, and Biden has as well. And Trump has done some really bad things for this country, and Biden has as well. And that's just what it is. Because we need to understand that the man that might be up there is not just up there by himself. A lot of times he's backed by all these groups and countries, or not countries, but entities that have their own agenda at heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things my dad taught me when I was very young, everybody, and I mean everybody, has an MO. An MO, for those of you who don't know, is a motive.
Modus operandi.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Everybody has a motive. Everybody wants to get their agenda across and whatnot. Yeah. And the worst thing about it is the lack of desire to want to know the truth, and the lack of desire to want to hear from both sides and figure it out in your head. This is what the truth is. And just a lot of people in this country on both sides would rather just live in the naive, the ignorance is bliss mindset, just so they don't, like you were saying, just so they don't have to ruffle the feathers, just so I can be just, okay, go along, get along. You know what I mean? And and I am not going to be on this with you and lie to you guys and say that I have not done that. I have made a life.
I've done it plenty of times. Yeah, right. I've done it plenty of times. I just told you I'm very agreeable. Right. I just told you that. Right.
You know what I mean? And so with that, I'm not sitting here and saying that I'm not, I'm free from blame. But what I am saying, though, is we are in a point in this country that is very volatile, where you got people on one side talking about, civil war. You got people on the other side, obviously, the president potentially got shot. All this stuff that's out here, and our minds are so it's this side or that side, this or that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, you do not realize that we need it all? We need everybody to come together for this to work. We are we are so susceptible to any type of attack. If the West wanted to really gang up and get together and they can get their stuff together, they could easily whop us, because we're so divided, and it's not even that hard to be that divided. So for me, that is a frustration of mine, because it's more than an annoyance, and it is borderline on anger, because for me, it means a lot more. For me, I don't have the luxury to be like, oh, well, if this guy's in, I'll still be fine. No, I'm an African-American in this country, whether you like it or not, whether you feel like what I'm saying or what kind of some of the things I might be frustrated with are true or not. Every day that I get up and I walk outside that door, I realize something could happen. Something could happen to me. And if that happens to me, there is very likelihood that if the perpetrators of that are the ones with badges, they could potentially get off scot-free. And there is a whole party that will sit there and say he did his job and he has a family. That thug deserved to die.
Yeah.
Think about dealing with that when you're waking up, when you're getting out of bed every morning.
Yeah.
I'm a little angry by that. Go ahead, Nick.
No. I'm saying, like, that's something that I want to say I don't necessarily have to deal with. And again,
you're a Latino man. You're not white.
No, but I mean, that's the thing. I feel like I've been fortunate in that I personally don't get the profiling that I know some other races have gotten. Yes, I realize that technically I'm a minority, right, in this country.
Rosario.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a Latino.
And if it's me and you up with the cops, I'll be like, he's a Rosario, sir.
No. But see, that's the thing. And a lot of people think, oh, you must be Italian. And yes, I am part Italian, but it's
Latino.
actually a Puerto Rican last name. My grandfather was pure Puerto Rican. Rosario's his last name. It's my dad's name. It's my name. No, I'm telling. Well, I mean,
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. But again, everybody knows. I'm half Mexican. My mother's pure Mexican. Mm-hmm. Dad is Italian and Puerto Rican. His mom was 100% Italian. My grandfather, his dad was 100% Puerto Rican. So I'm the Mexican, Italian, Puerto Rican. So yes, I'm a minority. Just But again, I grew up here, and I grew up at a time where yes, racism angers me because I think it's ridiculous. But I haven't felt it so much, so I feel fortunate in that regard. And again, Sean, you're one of my dearest friends, bro. We talk about a lot of things, and it does anger me that still exists. That in 2024, people are still, color of the skin matters, or social economic status matters to people in that sense. Like, what happened to judging people on who they are and how they treat you and how, you know what I'm saying? Like, respect is a big thing. And it does anger me that people can't look past certain things. And again, maybe again, that is your upbringing. Because again, like I said, I try my best to take people at who they are when I meet them and how they treat me.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how I operate. And I think, and again, I've tried to be that kind of person, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's people I won't deal with because I understand what they might say or think or believe, and I don't have to deal with that. I can
Yeah.
choose who I have in my circle and who I talk to and who I deal with and who I associate with. But yeah, I do feel bad, bro, that you even have that thought. Like that bothers me. That angers me because again, in this day and age, why should you even have to feel that walking out your front door? Like that's not
But
something that
and
you
again,
should be.
but a lot of that is goes along with a lot of underlying issues. I mean, think
Yeah,
about
well,
one of
yeah,
the
of
first
course.
things that you mentioned was punctuality. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
One of the things I learned, especially early on, is that because of a stereotype, I will always be deemed somebody that's going to be late, regardless. And if I'm there 199 times
right.
on time, that one
Yeah,
time that I'm late, I'm never going to be let forget about that one time that I'm late. And
right.
I've
But
lived
what?
that. I've dealt with that type stuff, and it's
Yeah,
that little small stuff that gets me. Even
yeah,
and I think this is a great way to segue into the next point, which
yeah,
is it okay to be angry? And I got to be very honest with you. I have wrestled with this for most of my, I want to say adult life, but I want to say it's longer than that. I want to say
right.
by my teen years on, I've wrestled with the fact, is it okay for me to get angry? And if you don't know why I am circling this question and asking this question so much, those you don't know, there's been one of the stereotypes is that African American men are criminalized, or they're more aggressive, they're sexual
Yeah,
deviants, they're
right.
all this big bad stuff. And I've many times I've been in a store or something where a mother has pulled her child in or tucked her purse or all this type of stuff. Now you know me, Nick. You could slap me around. Like I'm not. I mean,
Yeah,
it would
no,
be
no,
a
I get
fight, but
you.
I'm saying like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not this. I'm
You're
not
not
Debo.
aggressive
I'm not.
like that, right? You're not. Yeah,
Right.
you're
You
not.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? And so for that, when I have that feeling or I see that that's kind of how people are, that tears me up inside. When there's people like I talked about the punctuality thing, when there's
yeah,
people that sit there and say, "Oh, you're lazy, you don't listen, you don't X, Y, and Z," I could sit here and read off the list of the things that I've done and jobs that I've worked for multiple years and blah, 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 blah. But what angers me is that for you to believe that and acknowledge that,
yeah,
that means that in your mind, that's true. And that's the base right there. And so now I have to work to get not only to that level, but above that, because you naturally think that this is just his disposition. He
right.
just is late. He just is aggressive, angry, all this type of stuff. So uh, through my adult life, I have tried very hard, very, very hard to be reserved, to pick my words wisely.
Sure.
Never do I get into, and for those of you who don't know, most of my significant others, at least in my adult years, have been white. So I never get into a verbal spat where
Right.
I'm potentially raising my voice in public, much less at the helm, but
Right. Right.
definitely in public. And so
Yeah.
a lot of that surrounds that angers me, because I've had situations where I've been with a white girl and she's gotten loud on purpose because she knew I wasn't going to get loud,
Do.
because in my
Yeah.
mind, all she has to do is say rape and then it's over. You know what I mean?
Or
And I don't
whatever.
care
She
how
can.
much you say, "Oh, I love you," and blah blah blah. No, because all it takes is for you to get mad one time, and then
Yeah.
I will get demonized far more than if this is just some random white guy. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I
No.
hate to
No.
make it like that, but that's this country. That's America. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it angers me when people say this is not a racist country. You have to understand that America is what it is. That is America. Racism is just as American as apple pie, and that is the nature of the beast, and it's okay. But for me, it hurts and it pains me, because this is an entire emotion that I feel
Yeah.
like I is handcuffed, because if I let it out, then I'm just playing into their hand. And
Right.
you see how animated I just got over it. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's such a frustrating thing for me because there have been a lot of times, especially recently with a lot of things I'm going through now, where I just want to lose my shit. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm justified in that. And I can sit there and go off.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me a bad person, but it definitely is something that you got to get it all out. Because other than
Yeah.
that, like you said, you're gonna yell at your people. You're gonna yell at this random guy, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Uh,
I don't know if I answered the question. If it's okay to
well,
be angry, I don't feel like it is okay to be angry. But this, at least, it's okay to be angry in this forum. I'll tell you that.
well, I'm gonna short answer it for you, and the answer is yes, because, and I'm gonna say this, and people may not agree with what I'm about to say, but I feel like if you don't get angry, you're not being honest about things. Because again, it's an emotion. Everybody
It is.
feels
Absolutely.
emotion. You can't ask a single person living on this planet, even a 4-year-old, has gotten angry about something.
Absolutely.
It could be small, they're only 4, but my point is they've gotten angry about something. And it's how do you put that out there, or how do you respond when you're angry, and how do you put out what it is your anger is for. But yeah, and it's okay, because there are certain situations that call for it to be okay.
Right.
Because if somebody does something to you that's not right, you're going to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's okay. I mean, and again, I don't want to I'm not here to tell anybody how to live, or I'm trying to sway you in any direction. But like when you see people who get angry for what you think is no reason, and I think that's one of the things too that goes with that, is that I don't know what everybody is doing. I don't know
Right.
what everybody is going. You and you just sit there and you look at it and you just go, man, I don't know what to do with that. And you're like, oh, that guy's ridiculous. What would you get mad about that for? But maybe it's a trigger. Something happened when he was younger, or something happened 3 days ago that the same situation came back up and he's still angry about it. Or they're still, a girl is still angry about this or that. So, I mean, yeah, I do think it's okay to be angry. And again, I don't want to tell you that because I think it's silly for you to be angry about something, that it's not right, because to you, it's obviously something. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. And again, it is, I suppose it is in all how you deal with it. Like, and again, everybody deals with anger differently. We know that. And again, whether it's domestically or on the job or whatever, you've seen examples. We've all been around. We all seen the news. We've all seen reports. We all read the internet. People deal with their anger, unfortunately, and sometimes very terrible ways. And we have to read about that. And I think that's something, like I said, and people go, well, Nick, then it's not okay to be angry. Well, no, maybe not in that situation. But what about the people who are angry because that happened? Aren't they justified in their anger? Like if you have a daughter and some jackass, beats your daughter up because he thinks that, he thinks he's a big guy and he wants to hit a woman, you're not going to be angry about that? Of course you are.
Right.
And if I would be too. I mean, I don't have children, but if someone messed with anybody in my family like that, I'd be real angry. And I might be forced to do something about it personally, to be honest with you. And that's the thing. So, yes, I do think it's okay to be angry. But at the same token, it leads to a lot of different things. And if you're going to go down that road, there's always consequences for actions, right? So, again, it is just one of those things. But, I mean, my short answer is yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And look, there's a lot of ways to deal with it. There's a lot of ways to get through it. We're going to give you a couple of those ways, but really quickly before we do this, we are going to take a quick break for our sponsors to get in. Shout out to our guy Anton Benton, Awesome Artisans, does good work. We'll be right back with some ways to help you to deal with that anger. Yes, sir. That is my guy, Anton Benton. Definitely get in touch with him. He lives in the Virginia Beach area, but he will travel. Definitely get in touch with him, see what he can do, and if you guys can work something out, man. Definitely
Yeah.
does good work. Definitely does good work. Ladies and gentlemen, you know it is. It's my guy, Mr. I Want to Smoke, Nicholas Rosario. It's your boy,
Sure.
Sean Spencer. Truth be told, here on this Thursday, and we're talking about anger, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, there's a lot of people that we all suffer from it. We all get angry some way, shape, or form. Some people express it more openly. Some people put it deep down into their soul, and it kind of stirs and festers. So we want to give you ways to kind of let that out, kind of release that anger, maybe in more constructive and productive ways. And
For
Nick, I'm
sure.
going to go to you first. How are some ways that you deal with anger?
One for me is music. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a big music guy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I like, sometimes if I'm feeling a little wound up or if I'm feeling a little tense or I'm feeling a little something, I throw on some music, man, and I just try to sit
Mm-hmm.
there and relax and enjoy. And generally that works. And for anything, if I have a little anxiety about something, put on some music. And again, everybody's different, of course, but for me, it really does work because I've been such a music person since I was like literally a child, like a toddler,
Mm-hmm.
that it's always been something that I go to immediately if something's wrong. I go to the music, whatever it is, whatever I'm in the mood for, and just put it on and try to do my best. But one thing, and I will say this, and I understand this is not for everyone, so please. Um, but as I told you guys, I've told Sean and I've told other people, I started seeing a therapist about
Yeah.
2 months ago, over 2 months ago, and that has been a great way for me to deal, especially what I talked about a little earlier when I talked about the anger as being a kid, having my parents divorced, my dad remarried. I've gotten into that lately with him in a couple of the last sessions I've had. And it really does help to talk to someone. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It could just be your best friend or your mom or your dad or whoever you have a pretty good relationship with, and talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Get it out. Like, don't let it sit in your brain. Don't let it sit in your heart. Don't let it fester. Try not to, anyways. I know sometimes we're human and we get into that mode and, we're just so pent up and you don't want to say anything to anybody and you just get all crazy. But it really does help. It's helped me a lot to talk things out and just be able to have someone uh, to ask me questions about it. Well, how did that make you feel? How did this happen? And it really does help. I mean, like I said, I feel I'm a little bit better centered these days. Obviously, you all know I've been working on my weight and dealing with that. And, that made me angry too, that I allowed myself to get really big to the point where I had to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I really pretty much left myself no choice, right? Like,
Yeah.
I could have either died a 460-pound man or I could do something about it and try to live a more healthy and fruitful life. So, I mean, yeah, the anger comes in all forms, as we know, and to deal with it. But I think you should deal with it. I guess that's my
You have
ultimate
to.
point here. Like, I'll get to that. Let's just try to just get to the point is, yeah, deal with your anger because,
Yeah.
like, again, we all have some. We all have it.
Right.
We've all dealt with it. We've all felt it. We felt it against us. We felt it for somebody else. Um, yeah, just talk to somebody, man.
You have
Really,
to.
find what
Mm-hmm.
works for you and find who works for you, who you trust, and try to talk it out. Because again,
Yeah.
life is way too short as it is for me to be angry all the time or to be upset about this. I mean, do your best. I get it. Everybody's different, but that's what I would
Right.
say. That's how I deal with my anger. How about you, Sean?
Yeah. No, talking about it, I think, is really key. I mean, now, so I'll start with music. Absolutely. Absolutely. Music. I mean, I have a boatload of headphones, little small earbuds or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm never without those. Music is my lifesaver. Absolutely. There's so many times, like, I can't even speak on how many times that I've just been able to throw an earbud in the ear
Yeah.
and just keep it moving. You know what I mean? Because it has to take me away. It literally takes me away from whatever is going on right there, or it just makes it bearable. Because sometimes I'll just throw one in the ear, so it's kind of
Yeah.
hidden, and
Yeah.
I'm dealing with my stuff, or listening to this show, or doing something, and still being able to hear and, you know, be present if you will, at that one. But music, no, music is huge to me. And the funny thing is, speaking of anger, one of the things that has always angered me is people not appreciating my music. Now that's gonna happen. People have different tastes and things like that.
Yeah.
I've always thought of myself as somebody that's very worldly. I grew up on obviously R&B and soul and Motown and rap and all that. But then I grew into a lot of the classic rock and a lot of hard rock, and now I got metal phase. Man,
Sure.
there. But just you just pick pieces. So I dislike when I'm so open to try new things. Love country as well. Like I'm so open to try things, and when people don't really, they're not even worth giving. It's not even worth giving me a shot. They can talk crap about it, and I'm like, if I think about your favorite artist, then we have problems. That kept me angry. I'm trying to be calming from anger. Sorry about that. No,
it's okay.
But no, music definitely does it for me. For me also, and this is a very touchy subject that might also create anger. Video games. I've always been somebody that when I was younger, I would play video games. When I was a lot younger, I was very reserved. I loved being around my family. I loved being around my dad. And a lot of things I would get into. He always had some type of computer and computer game or something. I do that, and while he was doing that, I'd watch him. Or while I was doing that, I'd watch him edit and do his stuff with multiple TVs and VCR stuff and all that stuff. So I've always been somebody that thought I would rather in my free time spend more time doing those type of things. Watching a game, playing a game. Doing things that are more. I don't know. I don't want to say reclusive. Like I don't want to say like secluded. Like I'm kind of a homebody. But
that was your happy place,
right? Yeah, I just didn't find any issues with it. When we were younger, we went to my grandparents' place or my cousin's place. We didn't go to the beach. We didn't go on little trips stuff. I can count on my hand. We went to Ocean City once, and I never forget that because my mom got really sick. And so we went on the board back. My mom got really sick, and we ended up going back to the hotel. And I was fine with that. Because we didn't go to hotels. So when I was younger, I was like, hey, this is great. We're at a hotel. You know what I mean? So, so for me, I've always kind of found some kind of peace in video games. Even though apparently a 40-year-old man is not supposed to be a gamer, but I don't care what y'all think because it takes me out of where I'm at, especially if I'm really going through some stuff. If I sit here and I'm on here and I'm having to focus on this, or I'm diving into something that I like, it takes me away from a lot of that stuff. And then I think at the end of the day, taking a walk. One of the things I've known is very good is being able to take a walk, not really having a destination, just kind of walking. I ended up walking couple months ago when I was in a huge fight and walking like 3 or 4 miles, and I didn't even realize it because I had that much steam to walk off. And I just had my music and I just and this was before it was ungodly hot outside. That hellfire heat out here, but I was able to, and it was in the evening too, so I was able to walk that off. But
there you go.
Definitely that, and or like you said, talking to somebody, man. I definitely recommend you always have somebody that you can just blow that steam off and, that will just listen to you and hear what it is you have to say. And sometimes even that kind of helps you. A lot of times I've noticed these days, people want somebody that they can talk to, but they don't want that person to say anything. They just want them to be there. Where it's like, you could have a statue. Like, why do you know what I mean? For me, it's like, if we're talking, that's, you're venting, but I'm here to give you help. I'm engaging. I want to know what's going on with you. And likewise, if I'm dealing with something, maybe you've been through it. Maybe you have some bits or piece that can help me. I'm always very, very in tune to the Bible, the Word, God, and everything. So I don't any situation that comes up, I never let it pass. So I always think this was divine. This was the way that this, even if it was good or bad, I was supposed to interact with this person and yada yada. So in my mind, if I'm saying it to you or vice versa, then in my mind, then this is okay. Something I've gone through is maybe I can lend to this person and they help them, and vice versa. So when I'm talking, I want people to kind of talk back. Obviously sometimes when you really just want to lose it, then you don't want to hear anything. But I'm talking if you want to.
We've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there.
Right. But yeah, no. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things. It's find out what it is you really love.
Yeah.
Dive into that and kind of let that stuff go. Doing these shows, this is a huge release for me. And speaking of anger, when these shows were kind of, I don't want to say taken away, but when they're starting to become a conflict, my things got a little testy in my life because I'm so used to being able to come to a place like this, speak my mind, and a lot of other stuff sometimes comes out, and then I'll go back and watch it and be like, oh snap, I said that. But I needed it to come out, man. So
absolutely
get it out. And I think so. What we've said is music, if that helps you, video games work.
I mean, talk to someone.
Talk to somebody.
Talk to somebody.
It's huge.
Or take a walk like Sean did.
Or take a walk.
Be like David Carradine in Kung Fu. You just keep walking in the desert with your cane for miles. You just keep going until something hits, right? Like, just keep going.
Just keep going.
There it is. Right.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, look, hey, again, at the end of the day, we want to make it clear that especially when you get angry, sometimes when you're in a heated moment, you don't want to hear any of this.
No, you don't. Right. You absolutely do not.
You want to blow that fuse. You want to sit here and lose it. Most of the time you want it to be directed at somebody. Hopefully you don't act on that. But let's just keep this thing 100%, right, Nick? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell them, but
that's why we're here.
You got to be honest. Yeah, right.
And and that's the thing I think with doing this show. I mean, again, obviously Sean and I allude to it all the time. It's in the title. But I think that's the main reason. If you guys really want to know what the genesis of this show was when we tried it last year, it was just Sean and I were like, let's just be truthful. Mm-hmm. Let's say what we really feel, say what we really mean, and whatever topic comes up, we're just going to talk honestly about it.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole thing is about. And again, Sean and I are not professionals, right? We don't do this for a living. We don't, we're not psychiatrists.
We are because we've been doing this for 3 years. So
no, but true. But I mean, But I mean, we are professionals. But I mean, this is.
I get angry when people say we're not professionals.
We're not professionals. There you go. Right there you go. See, there it is. Sean, we're going to talk about that later. Yeah, trigger. But you know what I mean? Like Sean and I are just two men, who are living. We're adults. Sean's 40. I'm in my, into 50 now. We're just giving you our perspective, guys. This is totally from where we come from, our experience, what we've learned, how we've grown, what we've done, all that stuff. And if it can help you, then this show is a success already. Because that's all we're trying to do is just talk to you guys. And if we can help in some way, I know Sean and I both would. Absolutely. So that's why I say I appreciate people who watch this program. I appreciate the fact that Sean brought this idea up to me last year and that we started doing it and now we're back, which I do appreciate. But yeah, I think guys, because again, at the end of the day, we're all here on earth together, right? And we don't like to talk about it, but we all know what's waiting for us in the end. So let's just try to do our best while we're here to help each other, to love each other. Right. And yeah, thank you. Just be cool. That's all.
Be cool, baby.
Just be cool, baby. Yeah.
Let's go. Yo, hey, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go ahead and let you go on this Friday.
It's Friday. I didn't want to correct you earlier, but it is Friday. Yeah, it is Friday.
I just thought about that. So I'm so angry at that. See, it's going to get me later. It's going to get me later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let you go. For my guy, Mr. Nicholas, I want the smoke, Rosario. It's your boy, Sean Spencer. We will see you next time on Truth Be Told. Peace, people.
Hello, ladies and gents. It's Anton, your local awesome artist. Just here to let you know it's summertime. Projects need to get done. Are you being lazy on them? So if you got indoor projects, outdoor projects, like this pergola here, just got painted. Call me, I'll have your job done. See you later.
good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.